You think you're behind in goals, behind in life, behind everyone else. You scroll, you compare, you panic. But here's what no one told you. You're ahead, just in ways you've never measured. You didn't quit when it got hard. You got back up when it would have been easier to disappear. You answered texts when you were drained. You showed up even when your mind told you not to. That's not small. That's strength. But the world won't clap for it, and your brain won't count it, because your brain counts what it can see, not what it cost. You didn't move fast, but you moved. You didn't do it perfect, but you did it anyway. You've been winning quiet battles. No applause, no audience, just you. That's the hardest kind. So if you're tired, it's not because you're lazy. It's because you've been fighting invisible wars. Every day, you override fear. You resist numbness. You battle doubt. That's progress. It just doesn't look like it. Why? Because we're wired to notice failure more than growth. You'll remember the one thing you missed, not the 100 you handled. You'll feel behind because the finish line keeps moving. But here's the truth. There is no finish line, just alignment. And if today you were kinder to yourself, you're ahead. If today you said no to chaos, you're ahead. If today you breathed before reacting, you're ahead. Those moments, they're bricks. You're building a life you can actually live in. Not just survive, but live. The world teaches speed, but growth isn't fast. It's quiet. It's layered. It's earned. So pause, not to stop, but to see. See how far you've come in the places no one measures. You used to spiral. Now you reset. You used to say yes to everything. Now you pause. You ask, do I have space for this? That's evolution. You used to numb. Now you notice. That's awareness. That's power. You've been carrying weight with no recognition. Let this be it. You're not just surviving. You're adapting. You're rebuilding. Even if no one claps, you've grown. Even if no one sees, you've changed. And even if you don't feel it, you're ahead. Because most people stay stuck. You didn't. Most people fake fine. You're learning to be real. Most people numb out. You want to feel. And that takes courage. More than hustle ever will. So this isn't a reminder to grind harder. It's a reminder to look inward, to see your actual wins. Because if you keep judging yourself by the world's scoreboard, you'll always feel behind. But if you count what matters, you'll see. You've already started winning the game that actually counts. And you're not just ahead, you're exactly where you need to be. Growth doesn't always feel like rising. Sometimes it feels like unraveling, like confusion, like starting over, like letting go. But even when it's messy, it's still growth. Here's how you know. You used to react. Now you pause. You used to people please. Now you check your needs first. You used to believe every loud thought. Now you challenge it. That's evolution. You don't always feel strong, but you recover faster. You return to your tools. You don't spiral as long. You reach out sooner. That's not luck. That's work. You've put in the reps no one saw. You've broken patterns you grew up inside. You've reparented the voice that used to tear you down. That's real progress. But your brain, it won't always reward you, because it's wired for threat, not celebration. So don't wait for a feeling of success. Track the facts. Fact, you stopped tolerating chaos. Fact, you speak up more. Fact, you show compassion to parts of you used to hate. These aren't just shifts, they're revolutions. You are not who you were last year, or even last month. You've updated, upgraded. The old you would have stayed in toxic cycles. You left. The old you would have chased validation. You chose silence. The old you would have numbed the pain. You sat with it. You chose healing, even when it hurt. That's what growth looks like. Not perfect, not polished, but honest. And honesty builds freedom. You don't need external proof. You need internal recognition. So look closer. You've said no without explaining. You've rested without guilt. You've failed without crumbling. That's muscle, emotional muscle. You've started listening to the quiet voice inside, not the loud noise outside. That's power. You've started choosing peace over performance, stillness over scrolling, truth over trends. That's direction. You've stopped trying to fix everything. Now you just feel it and let it move through. You no longer define yourself by your hardest days. Now you zoom out. Now you wait it out. Now you breathe. That's maturity. And even when you forget, you return. Even when you relapse, you rebuild. Even when it's hard, you keep going. That's discipline, not perfection. Because real growth isn't what others see, it's what you know. And you know you've changed, even if it's not loud, even if no one noticed, even if it still hurts sometimes. You're no longer available for the things that once drained you. That's proof. You've outgrown patterns that felt like home. That's proof. You've stopped asking, "What's wrong with me?" and started asking, "What do I need right now?" That's huge proof. You're no longer looking for rescue. You're learning to resource yourself, not because you have to, but because you can, and that's enough. You don't have to feel like a new person to be one. You've grown, you've shifted, you've healed. Now own it, walk like it, live from it. This isn't the beginning, it's the continuation, and you're further than you think. You've done the work, you've grown, you've survived. So why don't you feel proud? Because pride requires pause, and you haven't stopped long enough to see yourself. You keep moving, chasing the next thing, fixing the next flaw, and somewhere along the way, you forgot to look back, forgot to say, "I did that. I handled that. I didn't break." You forgot because you're wired to survive, not celebrate. So here's why pride feels far away. You equate pride with perfection. But pride isn't about doing it right. It's about doing it anyway. Despite fear, despite doubt, despite the mess, you're still here, still choosing to grow. That alone is worth pride. You also compare. And comparison kills pride. Because you'll always find someone doing more, going faster, looking better. But their journey isn't yours. Their pace isn't yours. Their battles aren't yours. So their pride shouldn't cancel yours. You also forget your past. You forget how much it took to get here. You normalize your strength because you live inside it. But go back. There was a time you would have collapsed. Now you stand. There was a time you said yes to everything. Now you pause. Now you protect yourself. That's pride-worthy. You also minimize your wins. You say, "It's not a big deal. Anyone could do this. I should be further." No, not everyone could do this. Not everyone did. But you did. That's enough. Here's how you fix it. Start documenting the invisible wins. Every time you choose rest over guilt. Every time you regulate instead of react. Every time you say no and mean it. Write it down. Name it. See it. Create a proud list. Update it weekly. It doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be true. Next, talk to yourself like someone you admire. What would you say to a friend who showed up every day despite everything? You'd say, "You're incredible. You're strong. You should be proud." Say it to you, because it's true. Next, watch for the micro moments. Pride doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. It sounds like, "I handled that better. I didn't fall apart. I made a different choice." Listen for that. Honor it. Last, let yourself feel it. That warmth in your chest. That breath that softens. That's pride. Let it stay. Let it rise. You earned it. Not by being perfect, but by being present. You earned it when you faced the discomfort, when you stayed instead of running, when you asked for help. You earned it when no one clapped, but you still showed up. So pause, not to perform, to remember. You're not where you were. You're not who you were. You've grown, you've shifted, you've led yourself through storms no one saw. And the fact that you still care, still show up, still believe in better, is the proof that you should be proud. Let that land. You don't need permission. You need perspective. You don't need applause. You need awareness. And now you have it. This is what pride feels like. Simple, honest, real. Hold it. Live in it. Speak from it. Because you're not behind. You're already becoming someone worth being proud of. You think resting means you're falling behind. That if you pause, someone else will pass you. But here's the truth. Resting isn't weakness, it's resistance. In a world that worships hustle, rest is rebellion. They told you to keep grinding, to ignore the fatigue, to sleep when you're dead. But that mindset, it leads to burnout, to breakdown, to bitterness. You don't need more force, you need more flow. Rest isn't what you do after you break. It's what you do so you don't break. The strongest people you know? They rest early. They rest often. They rest with purpose. Because rest is not escape, it's strategy. When your mind rests, it resets. When your body rests, it repairs. When your soul rests, you remember who you are. You're not lazy for needing rest. You're human. Even machines need cool-down time. Even the best engines overheat. So why don't you let yourself stop? Because somewhere along the way, you learned that your worth is in your work. That productivity equals value. But that's a lie. You are valuable even when you're still. You matter even when you pause. Rest says, I trust myself enough to stop. That's powerful. That's rare. Because most people run on fear. Fear of not doing enough. Fear of being left behind. Fear of being forgotten. But you're learning to run on wisdom. And wisdom knows. Burning out helps no one. You think rest is passive. It's not. It's active healing. Rest is when your nervous system recalibrates. Your creativity reloads. Your memory reorganizes. Rest is when your intuition gets louder. Because silence amplifies truth. And in that stillness, you hear it. You're not behind. You're becoming. Here's the shift. Rest is not the opposite of growth. It's the fuel for it. You rest so you can come back stronger. So you can think clearly. So you can lead intentionally. So you can feel everything without collapsing. Rest is how warriors reset. It's how leaders last. It's how real ones stay grounded when the pressure mounts. So next time you rest, don't apologize, don't explain, don't justify, just own it. I rest because I matter. I rest because I plan to last. I rest because my peace is my power. Let that be your anthem. Because you're not here to run yourself into the ground. You're here to rise, to expand, to sustain. And nothing sustainable ignores rest. So schedule it, protect it, practice it. Because one rested moment can change the entire course of a day. And one rested, you can change lives. This is your permission to breathe, to pause, to return. Not weaker, but wiser. Not smaller, but more whole. You don't lose ground when you rest. You prepare to rise. Let that be your new belief. Because rest, real rest, is a form of quiet power. And that power? It's already in you. You look around and everyone seems ahead. They're building things, posting wins, moving fast. And you? You're just trying to breathe, to get out of bed, to stay afloat. It feels like you're behind. But what if you're not? What if you're just healing in public while everyone else is hiding their damage? They hustle. You pause. They mask. You feel. They pretend. You process. And that takes more courage than most people will ever show. You're not behind. You're just real. They post their highlight reels. You live the behind the scenes. And the truth? Healing doesn't photograph well. It doesn't trend. It doesn't get applause. But it changes everything. Healing is a full-time job. It drains you. It stretches you. It strips away everything that isn't real. And you've been doing it while trying to function. That's not weakness. That's strength under pressure. So no, you're not falling behind. You're rebuilding, layer by layer, truth by truth. You're grieving losses you never had time to name. You're unlearning patterns that were branded as normal. You're trying to love a self you used to abandon. That's a process. Some days you'll feel light. Some days you'll sink. Some days you'll speak truth. Some days you'll go silent. And it's all part of it. You're not stuck. You're integrating. The world wants fast fixes. You want real healing. That makes you different, not broken. And yes, your journey takes time, more time than anyone warned you. But growth with roots always does. Because you're not just trying to look better. You're trying to be better. Not for likes, for life. You're rewriting internal code. You're resetting nervous system wiring. You're reclaiming emotional bandwidth. That's not slow. That's deep. And deep doesn't rush. So when you feel behind, remember, you've chosen truth over timelines. And healing can't be scheduled. You've chosen wholeness over hype. And wholeness doesn't trend. You've chosen peace over performance. And peace doesn't post daily wins. But it's worth it. Because one day, you'll wake up and your first thought won't be panic. You'll make decisions without fear. You'll take up space without guilt. You'll speak without shaking. You'll rest without justifying. And you'll realize, all that time you thought you were behind, you were just healing. And healing made you strong in invisible ways. It gave you vision. It gave you self-trust. It gave you you. And no one can take that. So here's what you do now. When you scroll and compare, pause. Breathe. Come back. Remind yourself, they're not me. They don't know my road. They don't live in my shoes. Comparison doesn't serve healing. It hijacks it. Then, write this down. I'm healing in real time. I'm not late. I'm learning. Repeat it. Post it. Say it in the mirror. Make it your new truth. Because you've survived what others haven't. You've changed from pain others ignore. You've kept going without applause. That makes you powerful. And the more you heal, the less you chase. The more you trust, the less you need to explain. The more you slow down, the more life opens up. So no, you're not behind. You're exactly where healing placed you. Not on a timeline, but on a journey. And this journey? It's going somewhere real. So breathe. You're doing better than you think. And every time you choose rest, or truth, or kindness, you're not falling off. You're falling in. Into alignment. Into peace. Into who you really are. You keep chasing a future version of yourself. The one who's calm, confident, unshakable. You imagine they wake up early, drink water, handle everything with grace. You think they're far away, out of reach. But what if they're already here? What if you've already arrived? You just don't recognize yourself yet. Here's the truth. You've already become someone you used to admire. You say no now. You rest without shame. You notice your thoughts instead of obeying them. That's huge. You respond with intention. You breathe before reacting. You take care of your nervous system, not just your calendar. That's power. But you keep missing it because you keep looking for a feeling. You think being that version should feel epic, loud, perfect. But growth is quiet, grounded, subtle. It's not a before-after. It's a constant becoming. And you're already doing it. You're already making different choices, having different thoughts, living in a different rhythm, even if no one sees it, even if you forget. You used to overcommit. Now you pause. You ask, is this in alignment? You used to numb. Now you feel. You used to abandon yourself. Now you stay. That's not future you. That's you. Right now. So stop waiting to arrive. You're here. You're present. You're enough. This version of you isn't a rough draft. It's real. It's earned. It's wise. It's sacred. You've built this with tears and choices and thousands of tiny resets no one saw. You've kept promises no one celebrated. You've held boundaries you once feared. You've healed in silence and grown in shadows. That's who you are. Not someone broken, not someone behind, not someone trying to become, someone being. Now own it, speak from it, act from it, walk into rooms like someone who's already arrived. Because you have. You don't need to prove it, you just need to live it. Say, I'm no longer chasing alignment, I create it. Say, I don't perform peace, I protect it. Say, I don't wait for validation, I trust my own clarity. This is your new default. Not hustle, but harmony. Not chaos, but coherence. You've done the work. Now live from it. That doesn't mean no more pain. It means pain doesn't define you. It doesn't mean no more setbacks. It means you return faster. It doesn't mean you're always okay. It means you're always growing. This is who you are now. A grounded nervous system, a resilient heart, a steady mind. And even when you fall aware. Even when you're lost, you know where home is. You're not just surviving anymore. You're creating a life you want, a path you own, a version of you that doesn't need to prove anything, because you already are. So next time doubt whispers, you're not there yet. Smile and answer back, I already arrived.